as both of you know, this is going to be a gentle restoration practice, so otherwise known as yin. So I recommend having a bolster like so. A pillow can be used instead, and a blanket's nice to lay along the mat. And that's it. So yeah, thank you. You're welcome. So we're gonna get started on our back. I'm gonna have you bring the pillow that you have, or maybe a bolster. If you don't have that, 2 small pillows could work too. But we're gonna place it right under the knees so that when we lay down in a star-like position with our feet falling out to the side and our arms spread wide, our knees are lifted. That allows the pelvis to gently, naturally tilt forward so that there's no arching in the low back. So that the body can really just feel heavy. Once you get settled into that place, into that open position, you might take a few cleansing breaths to help you really fully arrive in through the nose and just noticing that sensation as the body just fills up. And then out with a big old sigh from the mouth. That felt so good to me, so I'm going to do it a few more times and you might join me. Eventually just come to just a natural breath in and out of the nose. Noticing as the body just breathes itself. Noticing the sensations in and around the body. Maybe noticing if there's any sounds around you. For me, it's birds chirping and like electrician work across the way. And that's okay. For you, it might be cars driving outside, maybe dogs barking, or roommates in the kitchen. Just see what you hear. And as you notice what's around you, see if you can just let all of that simply be. Allowing the movement to continue around us as we begin to drop into the more subtle aspects of our being. So this is a time that you might begin to just notice the layer that's underneath this physical body. So noticing the thoughts, where the thoughts are right now, what your mind is telling you maybe about this position or this experience. Maybe noticing if the thoughts or the emotional body is attached to something that is outside of this moment. So maybe a task that needs completing. maybe a conversation that still needs working out. And just as you did with the sounds around you, see if you can allow those aspects of your mental, emotional state just to be, just as you allow the sounds to be and the movement to happen around you. And then allowing them just to be as they are. Use your next exhale to drop even deeper. So beginning to notice that place within you that is intuitive, that is filled with wisdom. That place within you that is beyond thought. That place within you that knows your truth. That is a collective consciousness, so to speak. That place within you that connects to that place within other people around you. See if you can be with that place for a moment and breathe into that space. And then see if you can drop to the deepest layer of your being. That part of you that is simply joy. That part of you that is pure, peaceful bliss. Sometimes those deeper layers can be challenging to find, challenging to see. But when we pause, sometimes even just a moment of pause, and find just a little bit of silence, we can get a glimpse, a little taste of those more real, deeper layers of who we are and how we connect to the world around us. I'm gonna have you slowly begin to find subtle movement in the fingers and toes. You might just rub the fingertips against the palm of your hands. You might spread the toes wide. Then begin to rotate the wrist and the ankles. Just slowly waking up the body so that we begin to work our way into some other gentle stretches. And then keeping the pillow underneath your knees, go ahead and stretch your arms up along the ears, stretch the legs long. Maybe you keep rotating the wrists and ankles if that feels good. Maybe your arms spread wide, finding a nice stretch throughout the whole front of the shoulders and throughout the chest. And then go ahead and hug your knees into your chest and begin to rock the body side to side. The knees can be tight in if you'd like. You can clasp those hands. Or maybe you want the knees just to drop to the underarms and you just let your forearms wrap around the knees. Notice the sensation of being supported by the earth below you. Continue noticing the sensation of the breath as it rises and falls in and out of the nose. And then once again, extend the legs long. We're gonna come into a banana shape or a crescent shape. Walk the right foot out to the right. Let the left leg follow so that you can start by just letting the left foot just come right next to the right. And then bring the arms to the right side, left arm across the left ear. Now we're only looking to come to our edge, just that first point of stretch. So if this is that edge for you, then stay here. You can also wrap the left ankle over the right. You can take the right hand on the left wrist to guide that left arm a little deeper. So finding just a subtle pulling action in yin, or in the Chinese elements, we call this a wood element rather than a still earth element. So just holding that place so you can find the deeper stretch. You can let your head, your gaze fall over to the right so that you come onto the right side of the head. And begin to notice the left side of the body. Notice the breath as it expands and contracts through the whole left side. I'm going to set a timer here. We'll be here for 2 minutes. Go ahead and close your eyes if it feels inviting.
Should our bum stay on the floor?
See if you can soften any muscles in the face. And then find a full exhale all the way out. And let the inhale start from the left toes, rising all the way up the left leg, left lung, left arm, left fingertips. Use the exhale to release left fingertips, left arm, left lungs, left leg, left foot, and exiting out of the toes. Continue that breath, noticing how long you can make each inhale and exhale. Breathing through the left side of the body, which is our moon side. The side of us that is calm and passive and restful. The side of us when balanced helps us to lay our head down at night and get a peaceful night's sleep. And so after one more round of breathing consciously through the left side of the body, see if you can drop the breathing practice and yet notice if the mind can still stay relaxed and focused on that natural breath. And then within the next 2 cycles of breath, I invite you to slowly come out of that pose, just as slow as you took yourself in, and find that star pose again. You can just let the whole body just relax any holding, and for just a moment of stillness, notice the sensations of release through the body. You might notice something that feels like a melting away, a release of something that the body has been unnecessarily holding. And then when you're ready, slowly make your way to the left side. Just like you did on the other side, first walking your left leg to the left, letting the right foot come to the inside of that left leg. Allowing the right arm to just find its way right just along the right ear. And you might notice if on this side, this is your edge. And if this is your edge, it's a great place to be. Just find a bit of comfort here. If your edge is with the right ankle across the left ankle, and the left hand holding the right wrist, then go there. So coming to that place where you feel the first bit of stretch. And then just like we did on the other side, begin to breathe through the right side of the body. So allowing your next inhale to arise from the right foot, right leg, right lung, right side of the face, right arm, right fingertips. And then all the way out exactly the way that it came in. So just feel that breath as it soothes the whole right side of the body. So our sun side, our traditionally more masculine side. So that part of us that when activated, when balanced, helps us to naturally, easily get out of bed in the morning. Helps us to remain focused and attentive to the tasks needing to be done throughout the day. Helps us to find passion and drive to do what it is that we love to do in this life. So when you feel balanced in that breath, when you've done about an equal amount as you did on the left side, relax the breath and see if you can still keep that mind just focused just on the breath. If other thoughts come, if they arise as they do, that's okay. See if you can just give your mind a gentle reminder just to stay on that breath. And within the next breath or two, slowly make your way back to that star pose. Once again, just noticing what releases from you. Without any judgment, any pride, just allowing what needs to let go, to let go. And then I'm going to have you place your feet on the ground, bending the knees. Let the feet be wide on the mat. You can rest your hands on the low belly. And begin to windshield wiper the knees side to side. You may notice a little bit of popping and cracking through the hips as you do so. That's okay. That's just your hips' way of releasing the extra pockets of energy that it doesn't need to carry. If a subtle smile wants to arise to the face, just allow it to be. Again, no judgment or pride, but just allowing the body to do what it naturally does. Next time the knees drop to the right, we're just going to hang out here for a moment. So about 2 breaths here. So you might notice a stretch through the left quads, left hip flexor. Now, if this is too much on the knee, I invite you to walk your left foot a little bit in towards the center so that it's not so much of a stretch. If you feel like you have more of an edge and it's not too much on the knee, you can walk the left foot out to the left side even more. This time we're going to breathe through the belly. So on your inhale, feel the navel just rise up, up, up towards the ceiling. And on the exhale, feel it as it draws back in towards the spine. And then as that same thing happens with the navel, see if with the inhale you can just feel the ribs expanding out and up. And then on the exhale, let all of that draw back into itself. So once again, just allowing the body to do exactly what it does best. Just breathing and being fully. For some of us, with time, the body may have forgotten what it knows to do best. And so we come to a practice like this just to gently remind it. To remind the body that it is meant to breathe fully. And that it is allowed to let go of the physical hold of things that really do not serve it. So we can use that breath as an outlet of just letting it go. And then go ahead and drop the breathing practice, coming back to a natural breath in and out of the nose. And between now and 3 breaths from now, slowly make your way back to the center. And before we come to the other side, I'm gonna have you just, with feet staying wide, let the knees drop in towards themselves. So you're coming knock-knee here. The toes may turn in a little bit. You may lift the shoulders up and guide the shoulder blades together, finding just a little bit more space throughout the whole chest. And come back to noticing. You might do what we did at the beginning of practice and briefly scanning every layer of your being, from the sounds and movement around you, all the way down to the most subtle layer of you, that space of pure light and bliss. And then when you're ready, let the knees drop to the left side. Same thing, and remember that you're different on this side than the other side. So maybe what the left knee needed is different than what the right knee needs. So just check in. If you're feeling any pinching on the inner or outer knee, walk that right foot in a little bit closer to the center. If you could use a little bit more of a stretch, walk the right foot out. Maybe you find that it feels better with the foot being a little more extended even, so not such a deep bend in the knee. It's your body, your practice, your releasing. So do what it is that you are being asked to do. And then once you're settled, come back to breathing through the belly. Allowing that belly to get big, filled up like a balloon on the inhale. Taking up space. And allowing the same amount of release upon the exhale. So this yin yoga, holding these postures in this way, it helps us to shift from a doing state to more of a being state. Helping us to come back to that part of us that just is. That part of us that has no need of controlling the circumstances around us. And rather, that is that part that is simply accepting and loving and trusting in the wholeness that is you, that is this whole universe. Come back to your natural state of breath if you haven't already. And between now and 3 breaths from now, come back to that knock-kneed position. So feet wide, knees dropping in towards themselves. Yin also helps us to increase hydration in our joints and connective tissues. So we have fascia, connective tissue, all throughout our body. It surrounds every muscle and every bone in our body. And so holding these poses in this way, breathing through those spaces, it outlines this structure, this connective tissue, the white layers throughout the body. And they're thick bands that are made to slide and glide. That is their natural state. It's like a slippery state. Over time, this tissue, it gets stuck. It becomes gel-like and sticky. And so we hold these postures and we breathe through these spaces to come back to that natural physical form of just fluid movement. So of course, that's how this practice aids in our bodies increasing flexibility, which then makes it a good practice alongside other styles of yoga and exercise. So from here, go ahead and bend, hug the knees into the chest and rotate through the ankles. And we've had a lot of stillness, so I'm going to have you lift your legs up, lift your arms up, and just begin to find a shake through the feet and the hands. So we call this dead bug pose. You're going to feel silly, but that's okay. Feel silly, that's all right. Maybe it allows a subtle smile to come to the face. That is so good. Let that shake drop down into the thighs and the arms and the shoulders and belly and chest. Maybe you even take a breath in through the nose and shake it out of the mouth. So finding horsey breath. If you like that, do it 3 more rounds. So just bringing a little bit of energy back to the body so that the mind can stay awake. And then drop down, come back to your star pose. Once again, just notice the sensations that naturally arise from all that shaking. And then holding the stretch on either side and the hips. You might feel like a pulsing sensation within and around you. Maybe you notice the heart beating in the chest and can feel something like, or feel the blood and the fluids moving throughout your veins. Hug your right knee in towards the chest. And then, so keep the hands clasped around in the front of the knee. And on the inhale, we're going to push the knee forward into the cup of the hands. On the exhale, pull the knee back to the chest. So once again, finding that wood element. So pulling, so you can think of like a branch. You hold a branch, and if you let go, it pops away. That's what we're doing here, so we're pulling the knee so that the leg compresses in towards the hip socket. Do that just 2 more times. And then next time your knee is pulled in, hold there. So finding that full compression. Once again, we're going to breathe through the belly. So we're going to let the belly push against the thigh. On the inhale, just let the whole belly expand. Particularly the right side of the belly, so breathing mainly through that right lung. Exhale, let it go. If you find that something is arising in the mental or emotional state, you might find an exhale through the mouth by drawing a circle with the lips. Sometimes that happens as we open in the physical body, or as we find stillness. Things come up in the subtle body that also need to be released. And that's okay, and that's good. That's what we want. But that's why it's also important to be gentle and to have compassion towards yourself if that happens, when that happens. Take just 3 breaths there. And then straighten the knee, clasp hands behind the hamstrings. We're gonna bend and straighten that leg. As you straighten it, I want you to think about pushing the heel into the ceiling. So keeping that foot flexed. And so of course you'll feel a nice stretch through the back of the knee. You can continue that movement if you'd like, or maybe you just keep the leg extended and breathe through the back of the leg. We'll just be here for 5 breaths. Keep the back of the neck long, so tuck the chin in towards the chest. You might like to rotate through the ankle. In and out of the nose. Good, and then we're gonna find a half happy baby, so still staying on this right side. Go ahead and just see what it feels like just to hug the right knee with the right arm, guiding the knee towards the underarm. This may be your edge, and if that's the case, well, be there. Stay there. Maybe that's too much and you just have the palm of your hand on the top of the knee. Maybe you find full happy baby by taking the hand on the outside of the foot, arm on the inside of the knee, and then allowing shoulders and head relax down. So you might, as with all these poses, feel a stretch through the front of the knee. That's okay, as long as it's no pain. But we don't want to ever feel any stretching through the inside or outside of the knee, or even along the band that connects to the inner outer knee. So if you feel any of that, I want you to just come back to this more softer edge. So we've been breathing through the belly, we've breathed through the right and left side of the body. I want you to now visualize your breath going to that space that feels the most stretch. So see that space and watch it expanding and contracting with each round of breath, just like your belly did. Notice if, with a little bit of pause, with a little bit of mindful attention, whether that stretch sensation was able to dissipate. And if so, maybe for 3 more rounds of breaths, you can find a deeper version of the stretch. On your next exhale, release the right leg down, find star pose. So back to our place of center, the place where we started. And just notice, just be with all of the movement that's happening. Being just as an observer, almost as if you're floating over your body and just noticing from that outside perspective what's happening. No judgment, no control. Just letting what is be. And then when you're ready, once again, hug your knees to your chest. Maybe rock side to side. So we've done a little bit of movement in between these postures. So I ask you now to find that movement that your body is telling you that you really like. So maybe you come back to the shaking of the limbs. Maybe you just rotate through the ankles and wrists, or flex through the hands and feet. Maybe you stretch the body from one side of the room to the next. Do your thing just for 3 more breaths. Good, and then hug the left knee into the chest. Same thing on this side. Go ahead and rotate the left ankle in one direction and then in the other. And then on the inhale, push the knee in towards the hands as you straighten the elbows. Exhale to pull the knee in towards your chest. So we're kind of warming up the muscle here for that contraction. Do that for a few more rounds. Letting your breath be your guide. And then hold it in. Breathe in through the belly. Notice as the left side of the belly pushes in towards the left thigh. And then between now and 3 breaths from now, find extension in that left leg, clasping hands behind or on the left hamstring. Straighten and bend that left knee, imagining you're pushing your left heel into the ceiling. And doing that movement as much as it feels good. Pausing and breathing through the back of the leg if you're invited to do that. So my yin teacher, Shayla Worsley, she talks about the edge, like she equates it as standing by a fire. So we go to a fire to get warm, but of course we don't want to get overheated. And so if you're too far away from the fire, from that edge, you can't feel it. So it's kind of pointless to even be there, except for maybe taking the nature around you. But if you're too close to the fire, you get overheated and maybe even the soles of your shoes might melt. And so we come to that perfect edge, that place where we can feel the warmth and we can soak in all the benefits of sitting by the fire without it being too much. So go ahead and hug the knee towards the chest. Do the same thing on the other side as we guide the left knee towards the left underarm. Taking your hand to the outside of to the front of the knee, maybe the inside of the elbow. And just checking in. So going step by step to see where your edge is on this side. Maybe left hand comes to the outside of the left foot, arm on the inside of the left knee. So for me, I usually feel it more in my left knee. So for now, I don't have that available, even though I did on the other side. So I just go just to the middle point. No judgment, no self-criticism for not being able to get there today, but just accepting without judgment that that's how it is for now. And that's okay. That's okay. Because these stretches, they are just physical. And the ultimate point of all of this yoga is not necessarily to find more flexibility in the body, which that is nice. That's one benefit. But the real point of this practice is to find that state of just pure bliss. To tap into that most subtle, the deepest layer of your being. Maybe that only comes for just a moment in time. The longer that you practice, the more that you can stay in that state. The more that you can tap, the more often that you can tap into that state. So if you haven't already, once again, just for the next few rounds of breath, just breathe in through that space that's feeling the most sensation. Maybe you've been close to the fire for long enough and it's time to back away a little bit. Maybe for another few rounds of breaths, you'd like to get just a little bit closer to the fire, find just a little bit more warmth. So deepen the stretch and just take 2 more rounds of breath. And then in your own time, slowly, gently release the stretch, coming back to that 5-pointed star. Giving your body time to respond after that healthy compression and stretch. So notice as the body talks to you. Maybe noticing a broad dissipation of sensation. Maybe noticing it through the hip or knee or belly or quad. Now, if throughout any of this you felt a pointed, fiery sensation, either in the stretch or in the release, that's your body's indication that you're going past your edge. So for these next few postures, just be mindful of that. You might come to a place of subtle discomfort, but definitely not finding pain or really staying away from any fiery pointed sensation. So from here, if you have a block, even though I know I said we don't need it, but if you have one, you can grab it and place your left foot on the block. If you have a pillow, you can place it on the pillow too, that would work. And we'll place the right ankle over the left thigh. So kind of like a thread the needle, but we're not gonna come any deeper than this. If in this posture, it feels like you just won't be able to hold it long, release the block and just let the left foot just be on the ground. Allow the right knee to just drop, just release any hold. You'll notice that the knee just falls forward towards in the direction of the left foot. Hands can rest on the belly. Maybe you decide to have one hand on the belly and one hand on the heart. And if you're like me and the back of the head has gotten sore, you might just rock the head side to side. We're going to come to 4-part breathing. Find a full exhale. And then on the inhale, breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause, hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause for 4, 3, 2, 1. Do that for 1 or 2 more rounds. So there's a symbolism of coming and going in this 4-part breath. My teacher taught me that the inhale represents a coming into form. The pause at the top represents that idea of being fully embodied in that form. Whereas the exhale represents a returning from wherever we came. And the pause at the bottom represents time spent in union from that source in which we came. So if you haven't already, come back to your natural breath. And then begin to rock both knees side to side, keeping the right ankle over the left thigh. If you like, you can let them drop all the way to the left and then all the way to the right. So just finding a subtle twist through the spine. Twisting from the navel, thus aiding in a subtle release. Twisting from the navel really helps to release toxins. You can think of it like squeezing a wet rag, and all the liquid that the rag no longer wants to hold just rinses completely out. Next time the knees drop to the left, stay there. If you have your block or pillow and it feels like too much of a sensation on anywhere in the knee or the hip, like you've gone past your edge, bring the block under the left, on the outside of the left hip. So it would look like this if you're wanting to go there, if you're wanting that support. Maybe even just under the knee. So you might notice which parts of the breath you naturally gravitate towards. Is it easier for you to inhale or exhale? Do you naturally find a pause at the top or bottom of the breath? Which spaces do you like to dwell in? So that can be an indication of your nature. And if you notice that it changes throughout the day, as the breath often does, or maybe changes depending on what you have going on externally, that can be an indication of how you're responding to that external happening. So when we know, when we know and understand through observation of our nature, that's where the opportunity comes in to do something to change it. Go ahead and bring the knees back to the center and release the legs long. Noticing, just as we've been doing this whole time, where there's dissipation, and just being with that sensation. You might spread the arms wide if the hands were on your belly. And then when you're ready, we'll set up to the other side. As always, if you need to find other movements before you transition, go ahead and find them now. Then eventually the left ankle will come over the right thigh. You can take that pillow or the block and put it under the right foot. You can let the head rock side to side, or just rest the gaze, rest the head on one side if you'd like. If you choose that option where the head is turned to one side, make sure that that you also end up turning it to the other side so that you find you can stay balanced, so that you're not overstretching one side. And so if you naturally gravitate to the inhale, so you tend to inhale longer than the exhale, that means that you might be more attached to the coming in, to the arising sensation. That can also, breathing in longer than we breathe out, that can often have a tendency to create maybe something along the lines of anxiety, or maybe a scatteredness in the mind. If you find the need to hold more at the top than you do at the bottom, that's you're wanting to hold on to the feeling of being fully embodied. So you might be really connected to physical, tangible things in life. And then if you're focused more on the exhale, so if you find that your exhale is longer than the inhale, that's returning to wherever we came from. And so maybe that's your body's way of taking you down to your truth, down to your core, down to that place where you came. That can create a grounding sensation throughout your whole being. And it can also have a tendency to create more of a depressed-like state, maybe a feeling of being stuck in the mind. And then if you're pausing longer at the bottom of each breath, that's time spent in union with the source. And so same thing, that's just you maybe looking for more of that internal, deeper connection. And so each quality has the ideal time and place. Again, it's just good to be mindful of what you gravitate towards. Go ahead and let the knees rock side to side. Eventually allowing them to drop to the left. Drop to the right. Finding that stretch through the left hip. Maybe allowing the gaze to come towards the left. So resting on the left side of the head. This is our last posture before Shavasana. So I invite you to see here, to check in and do another scan from outside all the way into that deepest layer, to see if there's any way possible for you to relax ever so slightly more. Is there anything else that can be dropped, be released? Maybe something that you're aware of and that you're consciously choosing not to carry with you once you lift up off of your mat at the end of this practice. Something that you choose to not hold you back for the remainder of the day. Maybe you allow these last 3 exhales just to drop it. Whether it's a physical sensation or a mental, emotional sensation. It's preventing you from just being and accepting you and things around you for exactly what they are. In your own time, slowly begin to work yourself, your knees back up to center, and find your Shavasana. You might like to bring the pillow or the bolster, or 2 if you had them, under the knees. Hands can rest on the belly again if what you're looking for and needing is more of an internal self-connection. Or arms might spread out wide, allowing yourself to take up so much space. If what you're needing today is more of an external or social connection. You might take a big breath in through the nose. Let it go with a sigh upon the release. And then just be exactly as you are. Allow your inhale to fill every atom of your body, every layer of your being. And allow the exhale to release just as much. And as you continue to breathe in that way, begin to find just a bit of subtle movement in the fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. Reconnecting to the physical body. Maybe allowing the head to rock side to side. Noticing what the earth feels like supporting you. You might extend the arms up and along the ears, stretching from one side of the room to the next, maybe finding another crescent-like position on either side. And as you begin to roll over to the right side, see if you can maintain that sense of peace, that sense of bliss, whatever it looks like for you. See if you can remain in that light as you come back to the physical world. Remaining in that state of being, in that state of accepting. And with love exuding within and around you. Begin to push yourself up to your seat and bring palms together, heart center, Anjali Mudra. We'll take a final breath in through the nose, out with the sigh. I'm so grateful for every one of you practicing with me today. Thank you so, so much for your practice, for the work that you do. Namaste.